Cool. Well, we'll give everybody a few minutes, but welcome to the Reciprocity RX first ever open house. This is the first of three. This program is so robust and has so many cool components to it. I really thought I could do this in an hour. I'm pretty. So we have another open house in December and one more in January before our program starts in February next year. So thank you for being here. We got a lot of people trickling in here, so I'm just gonna keep hitting admit. And if you would, in the comments while we're all getting settled in, one, take a deep breath, whether you're coming from work or you've already been home from work or you're taking a break from taking care of your kids or your fur babies or whatever the case may be. Take a deep breath. We're here now for the next hour. We're going to talk about nature and how it helps us heal. Life is good. So in the chat, let us know where you're from. Bonus points if you can tell me the indigenous land you're on and what brings you here today. That would be a great thing to know. And how do you personally connect with nature? And for everybody, I'm just going to mute you all, except for myself. And that way we don't have any feedback, so we can keep it clean for the folks that aren't able to join us today live. So again, I'm Sydney. Welcome. If you don't mind, in the chat, let us know where you're from, what brings you here, and how do you connect with nature? Don't be scared. We want to know who you are. My name is Sydney. I'm coming at you live and direct from Kumi Island in East County, San Diego, California. I am in the foothills in the shadow of Mount Cuyamaca, which is in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. And to our east, we have land that's managed by the Bureau of Land Management. So we are just in this little island on 9 acres, staying with our friends here outside of Julian, Descanso, California. I know we've got some folks from all over the country, East Coast, West Coast, and everything in between. So if you're just joining us, we'll give one more minute for folks to get settled in here. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what brings you here today, and how you connect with nature. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Also, can I just say, we've been doing this, and we'll get into my intro here in a minute, but we've been doing this since 2018 with Hiking My Feelings, and this is the most people we've ever had RSVP to any of our digital things. So thank you, everybody. And the turnout so far is amazing. So I'm just so glad to be here with everybody. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get started. So I am Sydney. Hi, I'm the founder of Hiking My Feelings, and Reciprocity RX is an initiative that we developed through our consulting company, WITW Wellness in the Wilderness Consulting. And through that program, we are bringing a new framework. Well, actually, it's the framework we've been doing the entire time. We'll talk a little bit about my story on how I discovered that we were prescribing reciprocity, but my story really starts, as far as this chapter goes, back in 2016. I was burning out rapidly. I was leading email marketing for NBC Universal. I was living in their offices up in LA. Well, not living in the office, but living in the hotels in and around their offices. Traveling for work 3 out of 5 days a week, just really bumping and grinding, making it happen. And I was burning out rapidly. The great thing about that job, I was working at one of the leading healthcare communication firms in the country, and they gave us the week between Christmas and New Year's off. So if anybody here works in patient services or client services or any kind of job where you're still checking email on vacation, the clients knew that we weren't going to be around and I could be off the grid. So my husband, Barry, was like, let's go backpacking. And I was like, okay, I've never done that. That sounds fun. And I went across Catalina Island for the first time in 2016. I had no training whatsoever. I literally walked into an REI store in Encinitas, traded my paycheck for a backpack full of gear that would get me across the island. And that trail changed my life. I didn't finish it because I was wildly out of shape. My feet were covered in blisters. I felt like I was walking on ground beef, and I didn't get to complete the trail, but I had some unfinished business with it. Fast forward 9 months from that first trip, I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. What? Where did this come from? We'll find out. And when I went to my doctor, I didn't know it, but at the first visit with my doctor after we had correctly diagnosed that I had type 2 diabetes, she told me, Sydney, this is the CDC recommendation for diabetes management. Walk 15 to 20 minutes per day, 3 to 5 days a week. Even better if you can do it outside. And I didn't know it at the time, but I had just been given my first nature prescription. And what started as me funneling all my people pleasing tendencies into being the best diabetes patient my doctor's ever seen, I was like 15 to 20 minutes. Dr. G, let's make it 45. Outside 3 days a week, let's make it 5 days a week. And I was getting gold stars. I was managing my health in like really powerful, positive ways. And this concept of like walking outside really changed my life. I mentioned I was a really burnt out corporate communications professional, and being able to spend my time outdoors first thing in the morning instead of scrolling and responding to emails really set the tone for my day. So what became my morning walk then also transferred itself into my morning meditation. I had the beauty of the world around me. I was living in San Diego at the time. Bird song in my ears, just the sidewalk beneath my feet. And as that got to be too easy, then I graduated to local hiking trails. So in 2018, now I've been managing diabetes. I'm kind of crushing it. I go on the Trans Catalina Trail again. And I was like, what is possible on this trail this time? Because the last time and the first time that I attempted this, I was wildly out of shape. I had no experience whatsoever. And I was like, oh my God, what is possible to me when I know that I can physically do the thing, right? Like I had done this hike before, not successfully and not without intense physical pain, but I had done it. And I was like, okay, well, what's available to me emotionally as I move across the island this next time? And also, why do I feel so calm in preparation for this trip? Now, I had just quit 2 jobs in the span of 5 months. I was newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I was now newly uninsured and living with diabetes, and I had no backup plan. I had no job lined up. I was just like so stressed that I just couldn't do anything. And so I was like, well, for the next 5 days, I'm going to walk across this island. And on a training hike, before that hike, I was like, oh my God, I'm up here hiking my feelings. Like, I'm not eating my feelings. I'm not drinking my feelings, like hiking my feelings. That is why I'm here. This is what I'm doing. What else can go right today? So, nature, unbeknownst to me at the time, became part of my care team. And what I learned was I was deeply disconnected from everything. I was disconnected from my body. I was disconnected from the planet. And I was disconnected from the relationships that I thought I was in. I was working all the time, head down in my email, head down on my phone, as soon as I woke up until I went to bed, until I got diagnosed, and then I started doing my walks. And my body was literally screaming for me to pay attention with the diabetes diagnosis and all these symptoms that had led up to that. And I didn't know how to listen because I had never learned how to listen to my body. Like I was just so, I was like, I'm a person in a meat suit just walking around and life is happening for me, maybe to me, but I didn't feel very empowered in it. And I didn't know what I was doing, to be completely honest. So when nature became part of my care team, I was like, oh God, I have been so disconnected from this planet for so long. I'm going to spend as much time as I possibly can outside to make this happen. And what I knew in my bones, in my breath, in this body, I knew that these different landscapes offered different medicines. But I, like a lot of folks, grew up where the only kind of healing that was prescribed came from a physician, usually a man in a white lab coat looking thing with a stethoscope around his neck. And if it didn't come from that guy, then it wasn't legit. So I went out into the forest and I felt like I could breathe finally. And I felt held by the trees and like really safe to feel fully expressed. But I didn't know why. And then I would go and I'd go on a hike and I'd be at the top of this mountain. And I'm like, my problems don't seem that big. Like being up here in this vast vertical space, I am shifting my perspective. The feeling of awe is almost overcoming me. Every time I went to the water, where it was the ocean or a lake or a river, I'd cry. I cry a lot, but like especially around water, a lot of emotional release. In big wide open spaces. Now I haven't been to like a savanna like Africa, but in big wide open spaces, meadows, in Yellowstone and Lamar Valley, I was like, oh my gosh, why do I feel so calm out here? Like there's nothing to protect me from the elements. It feels so wide and open and expansive. Like why? And then when we went to the Joshua Tree in the deserts and there's a bazillion stars in these dark sky communities, I was like, everything felt so still and safe And I loved it. And I was like, okay, well, I know I feel these things. I don't even know what to Google because I don't even know how to describe what I was experiencing. But like I came to feel different ways when I would go into different landscapes. And intuitively, I started building our programs at Hiking My Feelings around that. We started working with with Joshua Tree National Park first, and then Sequoia National Park. So we're getting our forests, we're getting our mountains, we're getting our waterways, we're working on meadow restoration. So we're spending time in these big, wide open spaces. We're going to Yellowstone. We're walking through Lamar Valley. We're watching the wolves every morning. Like my programs are starting to take shape around these different landscapes, but I still don't know why or what or how to talk about this. And over the course of the last 5 years since the pandemic, since our first big activation is Hiking My Feelings, our last major campaign was called Take a Hike Diabetes. And in pursuit of understanding my journey as somebody living with diabetes and how trauma informed that journey, and how trauma, unresolved trauma for decades, is what led to the lifestyle choices that contributed to that diagnosis. I was like, okay, uh, is trauma a root cause of diabetes? And so then I started looking as we're doing our research for this campaign, like what are the different breakdowns by like who has the highest prevalence of diabetes? And it was Native Americans and Alaska Natives, uh, Hispanic, African American, Asian, white, and other. And so I was like, okay, well, if we look at that, Indigenous folks have a tremendous amount of trauma from colonization, colonialism, capitalism, being uprooted from their lands and their life ways and their food ways. So I asked this woman, Kelly Begay, who at the time was working with Indian Health Services, I said, Kelly, is trauma a root cause of diabetes? And she said, yeah, it is. And so I was like, I started finding these breadcrumbs, right? Last year, I was sitting with a woman named Georgie. She's a tribal liaison for Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. She's from the Hopi tribe. And I just sat there, just like headbanging so hard and like tearing up a little bit because she was talking about all the ways that they live and their traditions and their how everything is connected. And I was like, okay, like the world I want to live in, one where we all care for each other, respect the land as much as we respect ourselves. This world exists. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's been here. Okay. And then earlier this summer, I was sitting with my friend Leilani, a Blackfeet elder, and she was like, Sydney, one of the reasons why you've been struggling so hard is the English language does not have the capacity to give you the words in the way that the Blackfeet language does, for example, and other indigenous languages that are rooted in relationship. So she's like, you literally don't have the language because your language doesn't support that. English is object oriented, it's mechanistic, whereas a lot of indigenous languages, Blackfeet in particular, is rooted in relationship. The way that they are connected, the way that everything is related is baked into the grammar. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, I'm starting to get closer on the language to describe it, which means now I can look things up. And then I met this lady who's like an actual doctor outside. So Dr. Melissa Sundermann is one of our collaborators, one of our facilitators for this program. And I met Melissa through Dr. Wayne Dysinger. He is the former past president of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, current medical director for Blue Zones Health. He had his own practice for a while. The guy's like the OG of lifestyle medicine. And I met him on a backpacking trip. I'm like, yeah, hiking helped me reverse diabetes. And he's like, say what? You need to meet Melissa. And so he introduced me to Melissa back in 2023. And now finally, we get to work together on something cool. So, Melissa, I would love for you to like spell out the alphabet soup that comes behind your name, tell everybody a little bit about you, and let's talk a little bit about the science of healing in nature.
Yeah, thanks, Cindy. I think it was actually 2022. So Dr. Dysinger, who is one of the past presidents of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, really a pioneer of lifestyle medicine, reached out to me. And I said to Cindy, I was like, number one, I was like, how does he know who I am? But he knew who I was because of this belief and this passion that I was putting out into the universe. And I'll give you a little bit about my background. And the alphabet soup, all that matters is DO. And really that stands for Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine. But more importantly, the DO stands for Doctor Outdoors. So I've been practicing medicine for, oh gosh, almost 30 years, board certified in internal medicine and lifestyle medicine. Throughout the course of my career, I was always searching for, what is true wellness? What is healing? How can I help my patients? How can I connect with my patients? And along the way, I wanted to learn about this and always have a curious mind to help my patients, but ultimately I was also learning for myself. And so that took me through training through integrative medicine at the University of Michigan, professional training in mind body medicine through the Center of Mind Body Medicine. And then in 2018, I found about the field of lifestyle medicine and became board certified in 2019. And this is what I'm truly passionate about. And lifestyle medicine is really foundational whole person care. And there's 6 official pillars to lifestyle medicine. And I know there are a couple colleagues on the call here tonight. So thanks for being here. And the 6 official pillars are really geared towards that 80 to 90% of our chronic diseases are lifestyle driven or trauma driven. So we really approach whole person care by looking at those pillars. So that would be food as medicine, movement as medicine, stress management, restorative sleep, connection, avoidance of risky substances and risky behavior. So I was totally in. I'm bought in. This is awesome. I found my home. This is how I can really help people because it's how I try to live my life. And that's how I want to be able to connect with other professionals who believe in the same philosophy. I felt oftentimes in my career as an outlier, as a unicorn, because I was talking about all this stuff that people thought was fluff. And I'm like, it's not fluff. It's really important. And as I would really dig in deep, it occurred to me that one of the things that was most important to me and foundational to my own health and well-being was nature. And I'm 55 now, so there's been peaks and valleys, no pun intended, in my life, emotionally, physically, mentally, everything. And during times when life was really difficult and things going on that were really shitty, um, and I was, beside myself because everything else was chaotic, I would find myself retreating to nature. And when everything else felt like it was caving in and everything else, like I was feeling like I had I had kids and trying to keep everything together, I could go out into nature and I was taken care of, right? Whether that would be, I'd get into the forest, it'd be really windy, but all of a sudden I'd be amongst the trees and I felt safe, right? So I thought, there's something about nature. What is this? And I started digging into the research and uncovered all of these mechanisms, right? And so in 2022, I started speaking about this, and because I was passionate about it. And what I did not expect were that people were like so into it. A bunch of clinicians, a bunch of healthcare professionals were like, we've never heard about this. Like, tell us more. So that really was the impetus to becoming the founding chair of the Nature's Medicine Committee for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And one of my co-chairs, actually, I see her on this call, Susie Spell, who I could not do this without her. We call ourselves the NAM Sisters, along with Deborah Kelly. And we have been going strong for 2.5 years now. And it's really about, we try to get the 7th unofficial pillar of lifestyle medicine to be daily exposure to nature and fresh air. So I understand that we all feel this intuition. We just know that connection to others, to our environment, to our planet, to our ancestors is key to us being our whole person. However, certain people want to know that this is not just a tree hugger hippie. They want to know that there's underpinnings and mechanisms that go along with this. So that's where I really share that so that people will take me seriously. So we know that the science shows that you don't have, I would love to live in a yurt. This is Telluride behind me. This is where I spent the month of June. I really was out hiking my feelings every single day, but I had to retreat back to home. I do live in the woods, which is beautiful. So really about like 20 minutes per day, right? We have science to show that getting out and boosting our natural killer cells, our immune system, lowering our cortisol levels, our blood pressure, our heart rate, and really aiming for that 120 minutes per week. And what really I love about learning from Sydney is so often we are talking about nature as medicine. So meaning that writing nature prescriptions, because I know that it can be such a powerful, as I call prescription, my prescription is nature. And then Sydney posed the question, well, what are we doing for nature, that reciprocity? And I was like, you're absolutely right. And when I get people more engaged in thinking about nature, the more that they connect with nature, they're more apt to then think about caring for nature and caring for our planet. And so when Cindy came up with this idea, actually, Cindy has been a wonderful speaker for our Nature is Medicine committee. Our members absolutely love learning from her and hearing from her, and she's a wonderful facilitator. So I keep asking her back. And one time I said, Cindy, I want you to talk to us about reciprocity. And we learned so much. And then I think maybe gave her a little like inkling of wow, this could be something more. And so I think that, just learning from Cindy about, yes, we want to reap the benefits of nature and get more people to connect, but we need to make that bi-directional and show the reciprocity. So that is me.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Melissa. And she's right. So, in preparation for this talk for the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, Nature is Medicine subcommittee, I was like looking at Nature RX. Like, how are we already prescribing nature? How is this being done? And it is being done. But I had no idea. Like, I hear how many nature prescriptions are written. It's like in the thousands. And I'm like, wow. But like, there's like millions of doctors around the world, right? So, like, we are kind of at the forefront with the lifestyle medicine piece and prescribing nature that we have an opportunity and, frankly, a responsibility for care providers to also prescribe reciprocity. It's not enough to just say, hey, go outside and do these things. Here's the benefits you're going to see. We need to be teaching people about how to be in relationship with these places. And the reason that that is so important is because we saw what happened during the pandemic. I come more from the public lands conservation side of things than I do public health. But when our gyms were closed, sports teams weren't playing ball, right? And there weren't concerts and all the other fun things that we do indoors. A lot of people turned to the outdoors, and that was self directed. Their doctor wasn't telling them necessarily, well, go exercise outside. So if we start prescribing nature at scale without also talking about reciprocity, then we run the risk of turning what is hopefully healing into potentially harmful behavior. And not for any ill intention, but just by the nature of an uneducated population that we saw what happened during the pandemic. Now we have an opportunity to kind of right the ship. So Reciprocity RX starts with the 4 R's: receive, reflect, return, reconnect. And you can hop into this cycle at any point. So at receive, you're outside, you're like, wow, I love being outside. What is it? I'm by a body of water and I feel calm. Oh, well, here's some great science to prove why blue spaces soothe your mind. The sound of water can calm your nervous system. And then we reflect, and reflecting is just making meaning out of the experiences we have. I don't know about you guys, but if you don't schedule time after a life-changing experience to reflect on what happened and make meaning out of it, then you just go on to the next. Like, it's really easy to stay rooted in things that are difficult and the things we need to process and move through. But more often than not, once we achieve something and we find success or we have a great experience, we kind of just go looking for the next hit. And so if we take a moment to pause and bake in reflection into our lives, then we're automatically just going to have a much better time being humans on this spinning ball. When we learn how to return the benefits, that's where reciprocity really takes center stage. We're volunteering, we're writing letters to the people that maintain these beautiful spaces that give us so much. And we've got a whole baseline set of reciprocity prescriptions as part of our free toolkit. And we'll send those to you guys after we get done with the call here today. And then in the cycle of all this, what we're doing is we're reconnecting, that we're solving for that disconnection crisis. We're reconnecting with ourselves first and foremost. And that's one of the reasons why we're inviting everybody to come through the certification program before prescribing. You can prescribe reciprocity, and people can do this for themselves. They don't need to go to the doctor to be told to go volunteer somewhere. But the idea is, if you as a provider have never been diagnosed with cancer, you might not be able to live from that experience, but you can prescribe reciprocity and nature from lived experience. So by coming through this program, then you're reconnecting with yourself and you're having this experience for yourself, or further refining and clarifying what that means if you are already somebody that considers yourself connected to the natural world. You're reconnecting to a community of people that also care and are looking for new pathways forward, whether that's in public lands or public health, or just as a person who's curious about the healing power of nature. And we're reconnecting to the planet. that gives us everything we need. So I included a few pictures here from some of our events in these different landscapes that we've talked about. This one down here is a meta restoration that we've been supporting for the last 4 years in Sequoia National Park. We do some work with Glacier National Park in the top right corner here, obviously laying with the sequoia trees. Some of my models for this photo are on this call. Hi, Katie. Thanks for being here. Hi, Gabby. Hi, Cindy. And then down here we have our beach. This is Crescent Beach in Crescent City. It is a beautiful place, as North California as you can get on the Redwood Coast before you start hitting into Oregon. And we did a beautiful infrastructure project there earlier this summer. And then, of course, Grand Staircase Escalante, one of the places that really taught me about reciprocity, has a very special place in my heart. So, who is this for? Great question. Protectors, so people that are coming from indigenous communities, folks that work in public lands, whether that's as a park ranger, an interpretive ranger, maybe you're a biologist that's studying these things and you'd like to learn how to speak this language and integrate it into your work and your life. Providers, so healthcare folks, wellness professionals, mental health, social work. If you care for people and you have an opportunity to offer recommendations on how they can care for themselves, we want you here. And then Pathfinders, this is where we started, right? So we've been serving protectors and providers the entire time that we've been hosting programs as Hiking My Feelings and Wellness in the Wilderness, but we never exclusively said, this is for you. We've been working with individuals that identify as somebody who's curious about the healing power of nature or is already connected to it and wants to deepen that connection. So we started with individuals and community members, and then we found out, hey, a good chunk of the people that come to our programs are care providers. And so I have a wonderful, just, I can't, when I look at this slide, guys, like I just want to cry a little bit, to be honest. Of the folks that are on here, only two of these people, Gary and Caleb, were friends of mine from before we started Hiking My Feelings. So if you take away nothing else from this, and I hope you stick around, but if you take nothing else, I hope you recognize that the people that come into your life as a result of the worst day of your life can bring you into the best work and the best community you've ever experienced. And I am honored to be in community with every single person on this page. Almost all of these people have been through our programs or have licensed our curriculum or worked with us directly to develop curriculum. We've got Indigenous elders, we've got folks that work with outdoor organizations, we've got a ton of medical professionals, and of all of these folks, there is one on the call tonight, Miss Diem. I would love to chat with you a little bit. Diem came to us in 2023. She showed up for a retreat in Sequoia National Park, and she was studying for her boards. And I'm going to let Diem just kind of fill us in. I know we're kind of tight on time, so if I redirect you, don't take offense. I got a little wordy at the beginning. But Diem is one of these, is a provider who has been through a ton of our programs, like almost every single one that we've offered, and she keeps coming back. And it's not because I'm holding her hostage. It's working for her. So I'd love to hear just a little bit about your experience, Diem, and why you love healing with nature, and as a provider, what this has helped you with.
All right. Thank you, Sydney. First of all, my name is Diem Nguyen. First of all, thanks for everyone being here. It's lovely to see everyone, at least your names and stuff. So this is really exciting. I try to prepare for this. I'm a little nervous. I might ramble a little bit, but I'm going to try to keep it kind of succinct. So a little bit about myself. See, I'm there. I'm a general pediatrician. I work here in the outpatient neuropediatrics clinic here in Fresno, California. I did my residency training out here starting in 2018 and have been working ever since. And so just kind of the process of medical school, residency, boards, and all of that has been, it's a long journey. It's a long, draining, grueling journey. And so as Sydney said, I came when I was studying for boards. It was actually my second round for the pediatric board. I had already graduated, but I've just been in this chronic survival mode. A little bit in history of my history and as how I approach patient care is like way before medical school, where it was very much more of a holistic, whole person kind of view, which matches a lot more on the DL side of things, actually. So it's definitely more in line with it. And so I identify a lot with that. And my approach is through integrative medicine with my patients and everyone around me. And so I try to do that kind of whole person in nature. Being outside, movement is a big part of that. I didn't start practicing that as diligently or just more mindful and actively really until like the last 2-3 years ish. I've done in and out with like yoga, addressing mental health, physical health, and well-being. But so with that, leading into integrative medicine, my actual first exposure to connection in nature, connection back to myself and with others, was actually in the redwood forest in Ben Lomond in my very last rotation in medical school for integrative medicine. It was one of the times I felt most balanced. It was almost like a little mini retreat that we had, and complete strangers. We're all connecting on the same level. We're in the middle of the forest. You're fully immersed. And I felt so balanced and at peace after 4 years of just medical school. And so from then, I really had been seeking that feeling again, that reconnect, that I know I needed more of this in my life. But from 2018 until 2023, I was stuck in that residency chronic survival mode, and I hadn't really gotten back to that. And so this comes around to when I first met Sydney and Barry through my very first retreat over at the Sequoia National Forest, National Park. And my cousin was actually sent like an Instagram post or something. She said, "Hey, this sounds like you." And I was like, "Yes, sign me up." I had no idea what I was going into. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know what I needed. I just knew that I'd probably be meeting a group of very compassionate, like-minded people. Had no idea. I had never imagined that I would emerge from it with that sense of reconnection that I had been missing for so long. A sense of being able to breathe, as Sydney had said, and being held by just nature itself, being in the redwoods, and just I remember reminisce about a feeling of just like this letdown of like stress and tension, just and I'm like, what is this? This is what's been missing this entire time. How come I've been here 5 years and I haven't been out here? And so that was kind of the kindling of the start of all of this. And it was a wonderful experience. Before hiking my feelings, I was again in that chronic survival mode. My personal struggles, medical school, residency boards, and I was barely containing myself and getting through day by day. Through my experience there and meeting the amazing people there, imagine like being this is my memory, my favorite memory from that. Just imagine meeting complete strangers. Everyone's pretty cool, but we don't really know each other. We had to have an icebreaker. Being around a campfire, strangers again, sunset just happened. The stars are above, surrounded by redwoods. You've got some crisp air, and right off the bat, vulnerability was on the table. And it was a round of crying. This was not intended. And then all of a sudden, we're all bonded through like being able to tell our stories. And by the time it got to me, I still didn't know what I was really wanting to be. So I just expressed and opened up, and didn't realize how much I really needed to just release. So first night, we're all like best friends now. It was amazing. And so in that, I've never really done volunteer work in national parks before, or in like nature itself. And so through our stewardship project, it was my first sort of introduction that Cindy and Barry had built in the roundwood meadow, and removing invasive species, orchard grass, and making that analogous to uprooting limiting beliefs, in which a lot of that was very deeply, deeply rooted in my psyche, in my body, in my everything through the process of medical school. First of all, trying to get into medical school, residency, etc. It's a very dehumanizing process sometimes, and so you get very disconnected and you really question a lot. But in doing that, there's a release in the body and in the mind, and you're actively processing and reflecting while in the setting of being in nature.
Yeah.
So it really gave a sense of serving a greater purpose. There's that. And because, again, you go through questions like, why am I doing this? Why am I going through all of this? Am I really meant to do this? And so serving that greater purpose and healing connecting that to healing the land and ultimately my mental health and well-being.
Oh,
Um, so
yay.
present day, yeah, so present day here, I've gone on quite a bit of retreats, and then again, I keep coming back.
Yeah.
Because this has now become part of my life. It's been incredibly meaningful and impactful, shifted my life for the better. And as Sydney said, we enter our lives in a way, and this is how we end up here now. It's like if we're able to heal from inside by being outside and just connecting those two together, like imagine the world that we would have if we were all able to find this sort of like living in a more peaceful way. And so it's something I truly believe in and truly support. And I am incredibly grateful to be a part of this at all. I'm really excited to see where this goes. I try to incorporate physical health, movement in general, very much the mind-body approaches where I focus on. And so I've been able to do some of this work with my patients and like give like informal prescriptions to nature. I don't care if it's the park. If you can't get out to the national park, that's okay. Go to the park. Go be in some grass. Just be outside. It does a lot, and I talk a lot about the neuroscience behind that with my patients as well. And so it's always really well received, and it's something we know, but until you're really doing it regularly, you don't really know the impact it can really have. And so I encourage it.
Thank you. Oh, Diem, I love you so much. Thank you. So we have a QR code up now, and I meant to mention this at the beginning. If you're a note taker, relax. I got a whole big old email full of resources and links and all the things. So if you just want to sit and soak it up, you can. If you're an eager beaver and you haven't already signed up to get your 4 hours worksheets, our free resources starts with the 4-hour worksheets. We're starting to roll out our different landscapes, different medicines resources. You can find YouTube videos about the different landscapes and how they help us heal on YouTube. And we'll also send out links for workbooks and stuff in the coming weeks and months. And this is just an ever-growing library for our free resources. So once you subscribe to the newsletter, then you are in the loop and you will have first access to everything as we release it. Quick body check. If you are like me and you need to kind of wiggle around, like go ahead and wiggle it out. We've been sitting for a minute. I know this is scheduled for an hour. I'm going to move at a purposeful pace through the rest of this. And I also am so down to stick around and answer questions afterwards. So if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll get to those at the end. But now that we've wiggled, let's talk about our certification program. So the ecosystem that is Reciprocity Rx we have a bunch of free resources that we'll be rolling out between now and when the program starts in February, and then just continually updating. So if you are curious and on a budget, we've got stuff that you can start implementing right away. And we're really excited about that and making this work as accessible to as many people as possible. And if you'd like to learn more and be more in depth with this, our certification program runs February to September, and we have 3 opportunities for you to connect with me and Melissa and my husband, Barry, who is in the background. He is our glue behind the screen. He's making everything happen. If you ever see me looking off to this side and smiling and like doing things, it's because Barry's giving me thumbs up. So thank you, Barry, for the support. But we have 3 opportunities to connect each month. And the first one is No. And No is our curriculum review. So Melissa and I are going to be teaching about the topic at hand. I'm going to be bringing the soul and the spirit of it. And Melissa's going to bring in some science and also soul and spirit. She's got all 3. And then for the Grow community calls, we're bringing in some of those guest experts and program advisors that I showed you on the screen before. I mean, we've got folks that are like big systems change thinkers, like Caleb Gardner, who used to run Barack Obama's social media when he was in office. Like, if you can think about how to run a government, you can probably think about how to wiggle this into a new healthcare system, right? So our Grow meetings are for opportunities for us to come together as a community. And this is where we really want to see as many people from as many different paths as possible come through. Because what we're doing in public lands and what we're doing in public health, if we start to combine our efforts, we're really going to be able to move the needle in powerful ways. So getting out of our silos, coming together, for the Grow meetings. Our Go meetings is safety and planning with Barry. If you are not outdoorsy at all, if you were like me, 2016, or Diem when she was in med school and residency, and you are just like barely surviving, but you're like, I really probably should do something. Hiking sounds like it might be neat, but you have no idea where to start. we got you. You don't need to like go be a professional outdoors person to enjoy this. It really can be as simple as enjoying nearby nature, like the trees and the flowers in and around your home, or a local park, state park, or national park if you have access. It also includes comprehensive workbooks, a resource library. All the recordings and materials are housed in our private program portal. It's like Facebook, but not. It's called Mighty Networks. There's nobody else on this network except for people that are caring about this. So you're not going to get ads and spam and like weirdo posts from that girl that was mean to you in middle school. Like none of that. It's all love and sharing resources and stories. And then at the end of this, you're going to earn your Reciprocity Rx Provider Certificate of Completion. And if you are interested in facilitating at our retreats or further being involved with Reciprocity Rx, we would love to have you. And that is how we start rolling. So, like I mentioned earlier, you might not ever be diagnosed with the different things that you diagnose your patients with, or that you might not ever experience the trauma of the people that you provide services for. But that doesn't mean that you can't live through this and then recommend this from that deep place of knowing and personal experience. And that ultimately is what we're all here to do. So a quick little run through of our curriculum. So running from February to September. In February, we're talking Welcome Reciprocity RX. So we'll start to reconnect to your why. Why are you in this program? Why are you in the career you're in? And why do you care about what you're doing? Because if you haven't had an opportunity to check in with yourself and think about that, this is a great time to do it. Beginning of the year, we're going to start around February or we're starting in February. So we've got all oh my gosh, the rush of like resolutions and all the beginning of the new year things that's kind of subsided. And now we can just like settle into a great 8 months together. In March, we'll teach you how to receive and talk about how the different landscapes offer different medicines. In April, we'll be walking you through our self-reflection framework, which is really helpful to learn how to do for yourself. You can also take this into your teams at work or at school or wherever you're at, and use this to get to know each other better, to debrief projects and such. The self-reflection framework starts with you, but can ripple out as far and as wide as you let it. In May, we're going to be talking with experts on volunteering and the benefits of volunteering, being in reciprocity with a place, being in relationship with a place. When we get to June, we'll be reconnecting. So how do we build these sustainable practices? We need to rest, right? Like the work that we do is it's hard, right? It's different kinds of hard, but right now, if I think of all the people that we serve at Hiking My Feelings and all the professions and all the places in life that they come from, providers and protectors, public lands and public health has been under assault this year, and we just need to learn how to reconnect, and part of that is rest and giving yourself permission to do it. So if you're in this program and you're also looking at some of the immersive experiences, those start to kick off in June and July. So once we come around to July, usually most of the country, at least here in North America, is melted out. So you can go hit the mountains if you'd like. But we're going to learn how to move and integrate all of this in motion, and how you can use hiking, walking, fishing, rock climbing, riding a bike, insert your favorite outdoor activity here to better help you integrate these learnings. We're going to translate practice into care in August. So the things that you've been doing for yourself, this is to help you restore yourself. I'm not going to yes, you will be able to go and prescribe this and have a deeper understanding and feel really comfortable doing so after you've completed the program. But first and foremost, I know we're not okay. Healthcare folks haven't been okay for a long time, especially since the pandemic. Public lands folks are not okay because I don't know if you guys care about public lands. If you do, you know how scary it is to be working in that space right now. So this is for you, first and foremost, to learn these tools for yourself, to give yourself an opportunity every month to come back home and to think about what matters. So we're going to translate that personal practice that you're doing for yourself into care for the communities that you serve. And then in September, complete the circle, and we'll tell you about what comes next. So one more thing, unclench your jaw. I don't know about y'all, but man, there's one meditation lady that I listen to, and whenever she says unclench your jaw or relax your jaw, like I just start crying every time. I carry so much here, and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, why am I so tense? Anywho, roll out your shoulders, take a sip of water, do what you need to do. This is a beautiful look up, and remind me, self. I'm gonna include the photo that I first took of this shot because my camera was accidentally pointing at myself. So this is in Redwood National Park. This is by Stout Grove, next to the Jedediah Smith River, one of the cleanest rivers in the lower 48. And I'm looking up, and there's these maple leaves and then the redwoods. And I took this picture because I was trying to get this shot, but the first shot is just me looking up at the trees all cute like. So I'm like, oh, trees, I love you. And I got that picture first. I'll include that, and you're welcome. You'll love that in the resources. Okay, great. So retreats, yay. This is my favorite part. We have a bunch of different offerings now. So if you're coming to us as a Hiking My Feelings retreat alumni, welcome. It's so nice to have you here. If you were like, what the heck are retreats and why am I volunteering when I'm on vacation? Great question. I promise it's helpful. So these first set of retreats are open to folks in or out of the program. You do not have to be part of the program to participate in these. Our retreat in Everglades and Biscayne in late February next year is open. You can register on our website right now. We're taking anyone who has previously been on one of our volunteer trips is eligible to join us in the Virgin Islands, March 8th to the 15th. We're joining our friends at the Friends of Virgin Islands. It's the nonprofit partner to Virgin Islands National Park. And we're doing a week-long stewardship trip. So we have 4 work days. We got 2 days off. We're in St. Thomas. We're in St. John. We're just lounging in the water, feeling good. If you're coming from a cold climate, both of these highly recommend. Skip your winter, come get warm with us, right? And then we've got in June, our first big one, Dr. Sundermann's coming up with us, and we are going up to the North Cascades Institute.
To like make a burr basket for one another. But, like we'll draw names.
Well, see, honey, it's really expensive to do that. It's like $50.
But everyone also.
Thank you. All right. I don't know what's expensive, but it is expensive. So here we go. Let's go back. So Dr. Sundermann is joining us for this event, and she is bringing all of her lifestyle medicine workshops and all of the things that she's already facilitating with practitioners. And this is a provider specific retreat. So we have retreats that are open for everybody. We have retreats that are coming up just for our pathfinders, just for our protectors. And this one is provider specific. Melissa, I would love for you to just share a quick blurb about some of the stuff that you'll be bringing as far as the lifestyle medicine workshops to this space.
Yeah, great. So excited for this. In fact, I was speaking in Telluride, Colorado in end of September, and Sydney texted me. She said, I hope you're sitting down right now. And I said, well, I'm hiking up a mountain with aspens full in bloom around me. She's like, okay, that's fine. And she shared pictures because they were doing a site visit, and unbelievable. So as Sydney said, I'm already running retreats. In fact, when you said you haven't been to Africa and to see those savannas, that's where I've been facilitating lifestyle medicine retreats. And oh my gosh, it's just so spectacular. So what I have experienced is working with providers. And when I say provider, this is a very loose and very inclusive. It just means like, do you work with people? That's really what a provider is. So if you work with people, caring for people, serving people, then this is for you. And we will go through and we will learn about what we talk about in lifestyle medicine. And this helps I want to give these gifts and this knowledge to you to take care of yourself, because when you're taking care of yourself, you're better able to be present and serve your patients. So we'll be putting some of that didactic, that knowledge in there, but also doing this in an immersive, experiential learning scene too. And during this, we'll also be incorporating all of Sydney's work that she does with the experiential sessions. So we've had great reviews from the retreats that I've done with lifestyle medicine. This is taking it one step further of getting that nature connection and the reciprocity. So super stoked for this. Please share with any of your colleagues anywhere in the healing profession.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Some other ones that we have that are open for anybody that wants to join. We're returning to Redwood National Park July 9th through the 12th. And this is an opportunity to practice reciprocity with one of the most biodiverse landscapes on Earth. Miss Autumn is here. I unfortunately don't have time for Miss Autumn to share about her incredible work with the Redwood Parks Conservancy as the volunteer director, but just know you get to meet her and she's incredible. So we are really excited to get back to Redwood National Park. This is where our study and our first like concentrated program around resilience was born. So we're really excited to return. In Sequoia National Park, we're going back in July, and we have an opportunity to support the stewardship projects that we've been supporting since we started our work there in 2022. So we'll revisit our old project sites and catch up and give back. And then I don't know. I feel like doing something hard. I know I can do hard things, so I'd like for you to come with me if you want. This is a trek to Tumanguya, which is the Paiute name for Mount Whitney. Chris Casado from TSX, if you want to pop on and say hi. We are partnering with Chris. He is the owner, operator, lead guide, wizard behind the incredible itineraries that are happening with TSX Challenge. And he is hosting an information session on December 14th to give us more in-depth conversations around this. But Chris, if you just want to say hi and tell people how little experience they need to have to do this successfully, I think that would really open this up for a lot of folks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, City, for having me. It's been pretty cool getting to meet you, and I've been following you for like the last 3 or 4 years as you kind of going playing phone tag and email tag. So it's nice to finally have an opportunity to connect and do something fun and different. And we organize backpacking trips for all different ages and experience levels through the Sierra, the Grand Canyon, and a few other locations. And this trip in particular is like a week-long hike across the Sierra to Mount Whitney. I've been backpacking this exact same route since like 1993, 1994. We've been doing this for a long time. We take all different ages, all different backgrounds, all different skill levels, kind of band them together and enable them to accomplish something that may be difficult to do on your own. And so it's a week-long backpacking trip through some of the most remote, least traveled regions of the Sierra, culminating with the big accomplishment, which is the summit of Mount Whitney. That's always the big hook is, like this picture here, Mount Whitney. But I think that will go like really well with this experience and kind of this program is that it's really the journey across the way and getting there and the experiences you have building with each other, communicating, overcoming common challenges, and then ultimately reaching a goal at the end. So I think this like pairs so well with like the message and the experiences. I love Sequoia Kings Canyon National Park. I grew up in Clovis, Fresno area in the Central Valley. So this is like my own backyard. We love sharing with others, and we're glad to be part of this program.
Thank you, Chris. And we will send out more information about the in-depth info session. So if you have any questions about the itinerary, how to prep, all the things, I'm just so excited because Chris has been a really good connector. We have had some not unusual, we've had some incredible overlap. Some folks from TSX come and find out about Hiking My Feelings, and some people from Hiking My Feelings go do adventures with TSX, which leads me to my man, Kevin Kennedy. Kevin has been on a bunch of Hiking My Feelings trips, and Kevin's journey started when he joined us for the Take a Hike Diabetes campaign in 2021. And Kevin, I'm going to tell your story and you're going to nod along and give me color while I do it in the interest of time because I love you. So Kevin came to us in 2020 for the Take a Hike Diabetes campaign, and he had an audacious goal, and that was to overcome this injury that he had just sustained that had taken him out of a TSX hike, and he moved it to the following year. So he was like, I have been like life be lifing, right? Kevin has his master's. He's a water protector, a wastewater management engineer. He is a incredible fly fisherman. He also lives with type 2 diabetes. He also found himself in a decade-long depression when life be lifing and it doesn't feel like what you thought it might. So Kevin signs up. He's like, "Ooh, take a hike diabetes. I'll tell diabetes to take a hike." Kevin, how many miles did you hike in 2021?
It was over 1,000, probably
And
1,200 for Goddard.
And
Yeah.
how many miles have you sustained year over year since Take a Hike Diabetes?
It's been over 1,000 for like since 2021.
Uh-huh.
So the other big one is spending 30 days in backpacking, sleeping overnight, which is been, I mean, you have to go through the details of, can I really stay out by myself for 10 days? Can I do 120 miles? It's the details, and you learn it through nature, and you understand. I sleep better in the backcountry than I do at home. And I know that for a fact because I have two watches monitoring. I mean, so I've increased my, I mean, it's a big deal. It's a lot of different changes. So
Yeah.
I got to couple these two groups together with Hiking My Feelings and TSX, and they inspired me together. So the first trip was Goddard, and I was like, I like to plan things, so I signed up. That was easy. Then it was like, oh shit, I gotta actually do this thing. It's 13,564. I remember it. I remember the day I was on the top with Chris up there, and I'll just leave it like this. It's kind of accompanied through my head. It's not, it's a combination of Barry saying it's only hiking and Chris Casado saying, is that all you got? And it's not in a bad thing, but you let that run through your head and you're not going to stop.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the take home with that for me, at least.
Mm.
So it's life changing, I'd say. Definitely. It
Yeah.
is.
So, I'm not a case of one, right? Like I'm not the only person living with diabetes that was like, oh wow, hiking really helps me manage this. Let me build a life around this. Kevin has also done that and sustained lifestyle changes. So this is something that if you're like prescribing a big adventure could be something could absolutely change your patients' your community's lives. So thank you, Kevin, and I love
You're
you.
welcome.
So you can join the class of 2026. There's a QR code here. If you go to reciprocityrx.com, here's what's open now and here's what's coming. Retreats for everyone. So if you want to join us in Everglades or Biscayne, Virgin Islands, Redwood, and Sequoia, sign up. The forums are open. We're ready to have you join us. If you are interested in joining the online certification program, anybody that wants to do the online certification program, come on down. If you're a provider and you're interested in the immersive certification program that includes the online program and the retreat at North Cascades, registration is open for that. And if you are coming from an indigenous community, if you work in public lands, if you're an individual seeking a little bit something more in depth, then we have more information coming on December 10th at our next open house about our Protectors program in Yellowstone National Park and our Pathfinders program in Glacier National Park. So there's more. You thought that's all I got for you, but I got more. So the Reciprocity RX Community Challenge is taking what we did in 2021 with Take a Hike Diabetes and blowing it up in the best way. I had so many dreams for Take a Hike Diabetes. I was like, we're going to hike 1,000,000 miles for diabetes awareness. I only need like 1,000 people to hike 3 miles every day. And then we've met our goal. That didn't work out. So we did hike 54,000 miles, which is not a bad gig. Like 54,000 miles across. We had over 500 members of our community sign up for this challenge. So this year, or next year, 2026, what we're doing is that and then some. So we're not necessarily concerned about how many miles you do because ultimately, as long as you're getting out there, that's what this is about. Like, we're not about bagging peaks. I mean, unless you want to bag Mount Whitney with us, then we'd love to have you. But this is more about like how you connect to nature. So you go fishing, that counts. You go touch a tree, that counts. You're gardening, that counts. Whatever brings reciprocity into your life, we're going to send you a monthly set of reciprocity prescriptions as thought starters. And then you're going to track your acts of reconnection. Hopefully, you're going to want to start giving back to these places that have given you so much. So you can log your volunteer hours and we'll point you in the direction of some really great opportunities to volunteer. And along the way, you'll be able to earn prizes and rewards. We'll have more information about this on December 10th at our next open house. And also for our Yellowstone and Glacier National Park, these are save the dates. More information for those on December 10th as well. But we are actively fundraising for providers, for protectors, and for Pathfinders through Hiking My Feelings. Hiking My Feelings is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Your donations are tax deductible to the extent allowed by law. And we are fundraising for these programs because we realize, yes, the average physician makes hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, but when you're in residency, in survival mode, that is not the case, right? So we are actively fundraising to create opportunities to offer these programs at reduced costs or at full scholarship for different members of these different paths along the way. So when we say this is how much it costs, read the asterisk. We offer payment plans. We offer scholarships when they're available. We offer sliding scale for different levels of your profession. And in the spirit of reciprocity, this is in the honor system. So if you make $500,000 a year, I sincerely hope that you won't select the option that is designated for folks that are like literally living paycheck to paycheck and then some. This is all about democratizing the capacity to care for ourselves, right? I don't want you to have to go to your doctor to get a prescription to prescribe reciprocity. I'm kind of hoping, with your help, everybody on this call, regardless of which path you identify with, I'm kind of hoping that we can flip that pharma model on its head. If we can get enough people out in nature caring about this, receiving the benefits, having the language around the benefits, the language that I've been looking for the last 8 years and finally found, I would love for people to be like, hey, doc, I heard this thing about Reciprocity RX. Why aren't you prescribing reciprocity? Like, that's what I want to see. And I want to see doctors and care providers and social workers and therapists. I want everybody to be doing this, because I'm not saying this is going to replace modern Western medicine, but it is a beautiful supplement to it. And like I said, during my first Nature's Medicine presentation for the Melissa subcommittee, I was like, listen, y'all, if we don't have a planet, then y'all don't have patients and you're not providers, right? And we won't have places to protect if everything goes up in flames. So my hope is that through all of this, we'll be able to democratize how we care for ourselves, how we care for each other, and how we care for the planet. If you are so inclined to stick around and ask questions, I would be delighted to answer them. Feel free to raise your hand if we want to start there. I'll scroll through the chat. But just know at reciprocityrx.com, we are ready and open for the things that I mentioned that are open. We've got some more coming on December 10th. And if at any point along the way, like you see where we're going, if you want to have me or Melissa or me and Melissa speak to your organization or your team or your clients or insert people here, I would love that. If you're looking through our program advisors list, you're like, dang, Sydney, you got an all-star lineup. I want some of them to come speak for us too. Please let me know. My whole point of all of this is to build the biggest table we can build to bring together the people that care about public lands and the people that care about public health, because I really, truly believe when we all start sharing ideas and we all start working together, we can fix what is currently crumbling. It is so important for us to look beyond this fear that lives at the end of our nose and start visioning for what we actually want. Because what's happening right now isn't working, and we're doing a lot of pivoting and reacting. But I would love for this container and this cohort to be the visionaries that bring forth a better system for all of us. So thank you so much for joining. I am so pumped. If you've got questions, hit me up. I'm here to listen.